Welcome to Game Changers. I'm Noam Weissman, Head of Education here at Unpacked, and today we have with us Sivan Rahav-Meir. Sivan, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for inviting me, Noam.
It's an honor to have you. Sivan, if you don't know about Sivan was chosen in 2017 by Globes magazine as the most popular female media personality in Israel. Sivan is an Israeli journalist and a reporter, a big-time media personality, and is a World Mizrahi Shlicha. Sivan, how are you doing right now?
Do you want to know the truth?
Yes, only the truth.
Quite overwhelmed. I mean, we just came back from New York. We came there for a year or even 2 years of Shlichut. World Mizrahi Movement sent us there to meet the communities in North America. But after 7-8 months, we came back home. We felt that's the right place to be here, at least for a while. And we were quarantined for 14 days. We just, we're the first thing I'm doing as a free person is speaking to you, basically.
I'm sorry you're going through that. We're all going through that. Sivan, I want to talk to you about your journey. I want to talk to you about your story. One of the things I heard recently was that when you were 6 years old, you felt like a failure. What does that mean? As a 6-year-old, I have a 7-year-old son. I hope he doesn't feel like a failure. What does it mean that you felt like a failure?
Okay, the media exaggerates, but okay, yeah, I did feel, all the kids in my class, they all had those cool hobbies, in the afternoon, all those activities. Somewhere, I don't know, playing the flute or the piano or the guitar or drawing or painting, arts and crafts, cool things, and I was awful. Everything I tried to do came out, really, it was a disaster. And I figured out there was only one field where I felt, secure, and I felt I can develop and create something in that field, and that was reading and writing. So I decided that will be my thing, and eventually, Baruch Hashem, it did became my thing, my niche.
That it certainly became your niche, and it also seems to me that as part of your journey, it wasn't just your hobby or your skill set of reporting and writing and things like that, but also you have a journey towards becoming a chozeret b'tshuva, somebody who wasn't ritually observant or religious or however you want to frame it, and now is. So can you tell us about that journey? How did you go from somebody who totally did not identify that way, and now you strongly identify that way, not only identify that way, you represent it in many ways?
Listen, I don't know if I'm representing anything. Basically, right now, I feel like a mother of 5 unpacking all the luggage here. I don't represent anything right now, but yeah, basically I did become, I was what we call in Hebrew chiloni, secular, and I became dati, religious, while I was a teenager. So I think what happened to me was exactly in that period. I was 15 or 16, and for the first time I met religious teenagers. It may sound weird for the Americans who are listening to us. They think we live in a Jewish state. You're all Jews. You all know, from people, religious people, observant, Orthodox. No, I grew up in Herzliya, knowing secular people, maybe traditional people, what we call masorti. But I've never met someone who keeps Shabbat or keeps kashrut. And it was shocking at the age of 15 to meet 3 religious girls from the city of Beersheba. And they invited me for the first time in my life to see what Shabbos is all about. So I came. And, I fell in love, basically. That was the beginning of the journey. I think this simple story, people have those cool tshuva story, extreme things, adventures, things they had. And this is a very boring tshuva story, taking place in the city of Beersheba. But I think it's meaningful to all of us. If we care about other Jews, unaffiliated Jews who know nothing, let's just go out there and share that mutual treasure. That's all. Let's not be selfish. Let's just speak, show them. That's it. Very boring story.
Sivan, do you miss anything from that part of your world, that chiloni, as you described it, the not religious, secular part of your world? Do you miss it? Is there any aspect that you miss?
I never felt like I'm changing everything. There are some chozrim b'tshuva who say, okay, I leave completely. I erase, I delete everything. It belongs to the past. And now it's a completely new world. I think living in Israel, in our beautiful, diverse society, I think a more mature perspective would be saying I take many parts. I love my parents, my brother, the high school I went. All those places, I thank them for what they gave me. I do think I should build my own, new step, new level, I would say, new stage with Jewish values. I think maybe, we're speaking now that special timing, Yom HaAtzmaut, Yom HaShoah, Yom HaZikaron, all those days in Israel. I think it's part of our national mission today to take those parts of our identity. Maybe we left them behind, we forgot them in diaspora, in exile, in Poland, in Yemen, in Spain, in Morocco, in Russia. We left parts of our identity there, and we should bring them back to Israel. Sometimes the Zionist revolution maybe was too extreme, too severe. We should, complete the picture in our generation. That's how I feel.
So, Sivan, you talk about your identity being cultivated by your grandparents, your parents. For me, I remember certain moments in life where I was. 9/11. I know exactly where I was, and I remember that moment as a junior in high school. The night of November 4th, 1995. Where were you, and how did it shape your identity?
Yeah, so in a way, it's our, September 11th, because that disaster, Rabin's murder, Rabin's assassination, it's a tragedy. Every Israeli remembers that horrible night. But for me, as a young teenager, I was 12 or 13. I just interviewed Prime Minister Yitzhak Rabin a few weeks before he was murdered. It was the last, meaningful interview he gave. It was live on Channel 2 in Israel, primetime show. Facing the fact someone I know was murdered and a Jew, a religious Jew, is the murderer, for me, that's the killer. For me, it was shocking. I was still secular. I think that night led me, at the end of the day, eventually, toward Orthodox Judaism. I felt it is such a sin what was done in the name of God. Something was done in the name of halakha. That's so, that's just so wrong. I felt we should do right things in the name of Judaism, and that, it was shocking for me as a young journalist, young Israeli teenager, just meeting him in person, speaking to him for hours before he was killed.
Many people would say that their religious identity was actually shattered during that moment of Rabin's assassination, and they were ashamed to be part of the religious community. It's just interesting to me to hear that you had a reverse reaction. Is that true? Is that something that's consistent with you in your life, that you kind of go against the grain?
No, I'm not so, such a surprising, creative person. And you're right. I remember once I gave an interview, and the editor here in Israel, he asked me, can I give the headline, Retzach Rabin hechzir oti b'tshuva, meaning Rabin's assassination, that's what made you become religious. It sounds crazy, I know, but I heard a beautiful sentence back then when I was a teenager, a beautiful sentence the Lubavitcher Rebbe once said. Rabbi Nachum Mendel Schneersohn, the huge Jewish leader, world leader, he said, I'll say it in Hebrew first, he said, Al tiyeh ohed, tiyeh sachkan, meaning don't be a fan, be a player. When you see something wrong, don't just sit there as a fan, as a passive spectator watching the game. If you care about something, go down there to the field, step on the grass and do something, affect the final result, since it's your group, okay? It's your game. And I decided, I was a fan. I was sitting, watching TV every night, saying to my friends, to my family, oh, those crazy religious people, they're so primitive, they're so extreme, look at them. Don't be a fan. Go down there, fix it, correct it, make it better if you're not satisfied with what's going on. I think we should all be players wherever we are, in every field. And I believe that's what made me, since I was so mad and so sad after it happened, I thought we must change the way people see Judaism. I knew that's not Judaism. That's not Yiddishkeit, okay? I knew there's lo tirtzach, okay? You can kill someone. But I wanted to know more. I wanted to understand what Judaism really is, since I felt that's not the right thing.
We spoke about your religious identity, but I also want to get to know just you as a person. I don't know if we could separate you from your religious identity, but are you superwoman? Because I recently watched something of yours, and I see you taking care of your 5 kids. Your husband's also a big-time media personality. You're a reporter. You're a journalist. You're interviewed. You're doing so many different things. You're speaking to so many different communities. So how do you do that? Do you ever press pause? Do you ever just relax? How do you do that? What is your story? How do you manage all of this?
My kids here, they listen to your question and they laugh at me. Obviously, I'm not so perfect. I know you watched, it was a movie now about our life in Israel, but okay, once again, don't believe, what you see on the screen. Behind the scenes, if I'll show you the kitchen here, the living room, all the boxes and the balagan, the mess. Nothing is so perfect. And of course, I have my crisis, my challenges and crises all the time. It's, of course, I'm not, I try. That's why I think maybe that's the first question, you ask about I think Jewish philosophy. That's very nice. At the end of the day, I mean, it says Chazal, they say, Korot beito shel Adam meidim alav. The walls, they testify who you really are. You can, quote all those rabbanim and all those speakers, and you can give great lectures and go and speak to many communities. At the end of the day, Korot beito shel Adam testify. They know who you are. The walls, especially now, with the coronavirus crisis, we're all quarantined. We're all focused. Everything. The house is the center. And now that's the real place for Jewish identity, not out there on the stage with my kids, with my husband, trying to be, with them, to listen to them, to focus on what's really important. And I try, we all try, and it's it's a mutual challenge, especially now. But that's the main thing. That's where I'm focused, especially in the crazy month we just had. I mean, I don't need, it's not Rav Kook now or Rav from Satmar. It's more, the way you balance career, work, your patience inside the house. That's the main thing now.
I want to ask you about your experience in America, okay? Because you visited, I think, around 30 to 40 communities. Which is your favorite? And why?
Wow. Those I unfortunately didn't have the chance to visit. I mean, the plan was, we really met, I think, more than 40 different communities in the States, California and Florida, Montreal and Toronto, of course, New York, New Jersey, Maryland, Dallas, Texas. Really, when I look back, all those beautiful, beautiful shuls, campuses, organizations, federations, I think part of our heart is still there. And we were in the middle of that journey, really meeting you, the American Jews. It's so, I think it's such a huge challenge to understand each other, to know each other better. And it was, in the middle of everything was planned. I was supposed to be now in Palo Alto and in Boston in a week. And afterwards, Scarsdale. Everything was planned and booked, scholar in residence in all those places. But no, at the end of the day, we're not the real boss. And we're quarantined in Israel. And I'm scholar in residence here, in the kitchen.
You are. Well, more than the kitchen. We're with thousands of people are going to be learning from everything that you're saying right now.
Okay,
and
but
Sivan, that was a very political answer, though. You did not give me an answer to the question of which is your favorite community, but I'll respect that. As
I know, really, seriously, how can I choose? I met the Jews in Atlanta and in Baltimore. I met so many people. Really, you inspire us, our family. Really, we can learn a lot. By the way, the Israelis should learn from the Americans. It's not just one way. You come, for Taglit and birthright. It's important. We should go and learn from you. There's a lot to learn.
Here's what I want to do with you right now. I want to just ask you some rapid fire questions. The one Israeli song you can't get out of your head is?
Wow. I think Katonti by Yonatan Razel. Katonti mikol hachasadim.
Wow. Same style, Sivan. The one person you would be starstruck meeting is?
No, definitely the Lubavitch Rebbe. Otherwise, I will just reach out to him and interview him. If he's alive. If he's alive, I'll do it. All the other, personalities in the world are available, and I'll do it. I'm curious.
This is the one thing the world does not know about Sivan. What is that?
Wow. I don't know. I can't cook. I don't know how to cook. Awful things are, really awful.
Well, Sivan, what's something people get wrong about you?
Oh, no, they think I'm perfect. Since all those reports and videos, the way she balanced, work, career, how she does everything. Wow, such a superwoman. It's not true. I mean, thank you very much. But I'm a human being. I mean, there was just now 3-4 reports. The way she's doing everything. No, you're not with me all day. It's hard for me too.
So you're giving us all permission to not be perfect. I deeply appreciate that. One last question here. What do you think needs to be done to help bridge the divide between Jewish Americans and Israeli Jews? What's your one piece of advice to everyone?
Wow. Okay, I'm not an expert yet. I think to leave all those conflicts, the political conflicts, to the right, more closed or open, liberal or conservative people. We can discuss it later and focus on the real mutual, common denominator, the Torah. That's the pulse, the mutual pulse, the parsha. Let's discuss the parsha together and create that, strengthen that part of our identity. And afterwards, we can shout and scream and yell about all other, things about the West Bank, the Kotel, Netanyahu, Gantz. Okay, it shouldn't be the center of our attention.
Okay, well, recently you've been working on a new book, or you finished a new book. You released a new book. Can you tell us a little bit more about that book?
Okay, Reaching to Heaven, now available. Art Scroll, Baruch Hashem. They just published it, and it's a book about Rabbi Edelstein, our Rav who passed away 2 years ago. In Hebrew, it was the bestseller. I hope the Anglos will also like it. It's our, journey. How can we improve our identity, build our soul better, according to his legacy. Reaching to Heaven.
Amazing. Sivan, I want to thank you so much for joining us. Thank you to everyone who joined this episode of Game Changers. Sivan is a real game changer. And always make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube at youtube.com/unpacked. And you can find us on Instagram at unpacked.media and Unpacked Media on Twitter. Thank you so much and see you next time.
I'll do it. Thank you. Thank you, Noam, for changing the game. Goodbye from Israel. Thank you.